Good afternoon. I'm David Mancuso, and I'm back. I hope everyone is enjoying looking at the special exhibits, and we certainly been getting great feedback on those that are taking the workshops. So things are going fine. It's very, very hot here. I predicted this morning. It's nearly 100 degrees, and where I am in New Hope, and where my guest is, it's also very hot. She's having some storms right now, so if she flickers in and out, we don't lose her. I'm here this afternoon with a very exciting business called Buckleby Bags and Tools. And I have Joan Radell here with me, who's the owner of this business. They're quite a long time exhibitor. Good afternoon, Joan.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great. It seems our storms have just about passed. And it's still warm, but no rumbles of thunder. So I think we're safe.
Okay, that's good to hear. So where are you right now? At home or
I am at home. I'm actually in my dining room. And we're about 4 miles north of Scranton, up in the Endless Mountains of Pennsylvania. It's beautiful and green, and it has been very, very hot, but we're managing.
it is a beautiful area. I've driven up there several times going up into New York State.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't necessarily divide the difference between the Pocono Mountains and the Endless Mountains, but there's definitely, both are beautiful areas, but there's definitely a difference. And the area you live in is just stunningly beautiful. A bit remote, but stunningly beautiful. So Joan and her husband Michael are based in Chinchilla, and they have their business, and they do several shows a year. So I just have to say this. I know this is a quote that came from me to me from you. A workman is only as good as his tools, and I believe that was your father that said that. So,
Yes.
based on that quote, tell us about how your business started, how long you've been in business, how your business started, and how it's evolved, and what you're selling now.
Well, I started out selling handbags. I was a quilter. I fell into making and designing bags. I enjoyed it. It was sort of an offshoot. And I had a little Etsy shop, sold some bags, and then I started writing and selling the patterns for those bags. And I decided to do a quilt show because that was the market that I was familiar with. So I brought a whole lot of handbags and a whole lot of patterns, and I had shelf space to fill in my booth. And I had tools that I was using in my own workroom that were unusual or repurposed from other areas. And I got some together and put them out on the shelf. And I sold some handbags, and I sold some patterns and some handbag hardware, things like that. But I sold out of the tools. So in shows after that, I always brought more and more until a couple of years into it, I realized I didn't have a handbag business. I had a tool business that happened to have handbag patterns and beautiful bags. And we've changed our focus to the tool side of the business. And what we have, we've got very unique items. We have very unusual items, some designed and manufactured by us, some repurposed from other industries, and some just incredibly useful things that you would expect a sewing tool company to have. And when I was growing up, my dad, one of his famous sayings was, a workman is only as good as his tools. And he was, he'd see you trying to unscrew something with the butter knife and, appear with the screwdriver. So it was drilled into us to use the right tool for the job. So I will have a customer come in and she'll say, I'm having trouble doing this, that, or the other. And I love being able to look at her and say, we've got a tool for that. And to have the right tool for the job. And it really makes a difference in the results that you get, no matter what you're sewing, whether you are quilting, garment sewing, handbag construction, home deck sewing. Having the right tools really helps elevate your work. It makes your good work better. And that's where we are now.
All right. So they're not, so I'm to understand they're not just for the bags. In other words, quilters use these
Oh,
also,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so of course, we know you're going to be exhibiting coming up in mid-September at our Pennsylvania National Show. And
Can't
so,
wait.
so what would the focus be? What will you be bringing? Will you have any specials or anything like that? Or
Well, I always try to put together a bundle for shows where I take a couple very popular items, package them together, and then knock adjust the price to make it easier for shoppers to shop. We tend to be really, really busy in a really small space. So it makes it much easier for our customers to shop there. But I can show you a couple of our really, really popular items
great.
that we will bring hundreds of. And this is the beginning of it all. I'm going to have to put these up close to the camera because they're small. Let me see if I have a different color that will show up better. We call these our Just Better brushes. And we call them that because whatever you're cleaning your sewing machine with, these are just better. They have the two different configurations of heads, and the heads are made completely of silicone gel. So there's no metal in there to scratch anything. They are super, super flexible. So they get behind the bobbin case, they get around corners, they reach places where whatever you're working with now does not reach. When they get full of dust and oil and thread crumbs, you can wash them clean with a drop of dish soap and warm water, and they will last forever. They'll never wear out. Every sewing machine deserves a pair of these. And my goal is to get one to every sewing machine that I possibly can. Long armers love them. Regular sewists love them. Embroidery machine artists love them. If you have a serger, they are indispensable because they're so great at getting little bits of thread that get cut when fabric goes through the serger. They are inexpensive, so you can afford to have 5 pair, one for each of your machines. I know that a lot of us have sewing machine acquisition syndrome. These are perfect. And we literally have sold tens of thousands of these brushes over the years. They're just that good, and they are just better. This is kind of the foundation of the business, believe it or not. And the other thing that's been with us from the beginning are our sticks. I sell sticks. This is the big wood stick. It's 12 inches long. And this is our sticky finger. And this is a little wood stick. We also sell this in a miniature version for going to retreat or class or whatever. But I figured out the right angle to configure that point so it will poke a corner out without poking through your seam. And when you're turning pockets, turning applique, that's an important thing. The other thing you can do with this is press over it. There's no polyurethane on here. We make these one at a time and hand rub the finish with a little bit of beeswax. So you can press over it and open a seam and not leave an impression on the front side of your work. The sticky finger has a silicone cap on the end. That silicone is heat proof to 600 degrees. So you can use this at the ironing board as it's shaped like a finger for a reason. You can hold something and get right up next to it and not hurt it, you won't burn your finger, you won't scorch the stick, and it's safe. And this is also great because it's silicone and it has that silicone tackiness to it. After you've ripped a seam, you can swipe this over where you ripped and it'll pull all those little thread crumbs out, get them out of your way. So this is another really, really useful tool. So when I say unique, absolutely unique and unusual, and it works.
Okay. Will you also be offering? You don't sell finished product? Is that correct? It's more.
I will have some handbags with me,
Okay.
and I do carry some gifts. We have some jewelry items and items that do double duty as functional wearables. Let's put it that way. This is my scissor fob. and it has a little lanyard on it. It's 100% felt bead on there, so you can use it to stick a pin or a needle if you want to fill your coffee cup. But this is designed to hook around your scissors. So when you have a cluttered sewing table, or you're at your quilt retreat or class, or you're sew along your guild meeting, you can find your scissors on the table. But we also offer a 28-inch ball chain that slips right through the finding on there, and it really makes an absolutely beautiful pendant. And I have these in probably 2 or 3 dozen different colors and configurations, and these are also unique to us. Nobody else has them. So there's something for everybody. Lots of beautiful
Very
things.
nice.
And of course, I'll have my patterns there with me as well.
Course. Your booth is always buzzing. I've noticed that you always have a good crowd around you. And so, well, as we all know, the last 14, 15 months have been the challenge in a lot of businesses. Tell me, how did you come through it? How did you make your sales? Do you have a website?
Yes.
What have you learned? And what have you learned that's positive from?
Well, we couldn't do in-person events, so we had to pivot and put more time and attention into online. And you can find us all the time at bucklebybags.com. If you do a search for Buckleby Sewing, you'll find us. I really put a lot more time and attention into our social media presence. We have a very active and very fun Instagram. That's Buckleby_patterns. And I have been making very short but instructive videos for our YouTube channel, demos of my hands using these tools correctly. And that's at Buckleby Toolbox on YouTube. What we learned was that there's a lot that we do that we thought we had to do in person that we can do remotely.